Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner into a Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. This one's going to be on another Narukami variant and my personal favorite one, and that's Kaiser. So this is an updated Vermilion deck for post-Fire Selection 2016, and it's one that I do always enjoy getting a chance to play. As you guys know, Vermilion is my favorite unit in this game. It's my Dragonic Overlord to other people, it's my Blaster Blade to other people, so yeah, any chance to get to muck around with this is always one I'll gladly take. And fortunately, Kaiser is not that bad of a deck. It's in between Brawler and Vanquisher, in my opinion. It gets the nudge over Vanquisher in that I feel it's a little bit more consistent in that you don't care what Vanguard you're on, as long as you have like Kaiser Vanguard for your strides and your backup units, whereas Vanquisher, it needs to be on Vanquisher. If it's on anything else, it's in trouble in my opinion. But yeah, this is just a tweaked list from my warning deck profile that I posted a couple months back, and yeah, not much else I can say. I like to think it's a good balance between Brawler and Vanquisher in that it can hit for some okay numbers like Vanquisher. It can also mass retire like Brawler, but I can't do it nearly as well as either or. But because it's able to blend the two together and be able to tech itself out with all kinds of cards, it has that element of unpredictability in what you can do, and I just feel it's a bit more consistent, at least, than Vanquisher. And what else can I really say? Like, it's an okay deck. It's just Brawler I feel is just better because it can kill things, and it can also hit for pretty big numbers as well. So it just happens to do the job that Kaiser wants to do, but better. But the cards in this one look just a hell of a lot neater. Like, I know it's a silly reason to say that, but Vanguard's the kind of game where you can have all kinds of frivolous reasons to play a deck, and the game will let you get through your games because of its inherent nature, which, I mean, it's something we've all come to accept when we play this game. Anyway, so, starting Vanguard, we have Lizard Soldier Saishin. There really isn't anything else you can run in here. Taking away your opponent's starter is very good. And especially when Gear Chronicle likes to end their boards with grade zeros and play either TikTok Worker or, whatchamacallit, Urbatar, there we go. Sometimes when they do their stuff, they'll leave their boards, put those guys out. You can just kill them off with Saishin even if after you've killed off their other starter or something. Saishin plus Death Scythe comes up. Then for the grade 3s, 4 copies of Dragonic Kaiser Crimson and 3 copies of Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion. 7 Kaisers. Let's see. 7 grade 3s has been working okay for me so far. It lets me squeeze in some other cards into the deck that I would normally not be able to run. And not much else I can really say. Like, both of them are okay. Like, obviously Crimson's kind of become weaker because Legioning itself is very slow in the game, but we're going to be going into a slower format, so I think you'll be able to Legion with this guy more often, but you just need to be on a Kaiser Vanguard for your unit skills to work, so it doesn't really matter. Still waiting on a 11k grade 2 for Kaisers. That way that I can run just like more solid beat sticks in the grade 2 slot. Like, I would like to see a Nehalem for Kaisers, so like an upgraded Dusty Plasma Dragon. But there's a lot of things I would like to see given to this deck that hopefully we'll get in either set 9, set 10, or maybe even a Narukami Legend deck. One can only hope. I mean, apparently Naoki's a pretty popular character in the franchise, so we could see an Eradicator or a Brawler, the Legend deck coming up. But anyway, those are the grade 3s. I cut the Dragonic Vanquisher because I ended up just not needing the hit in there. And for the grade 2s, I'm running some interesting ratios. I'd like to say I'm running 6 beat sticks that can swing for good numbers. 4 Shatra. Shatra's Shatra. Like, not much else I can say about him. And then 2 copies of Spirited Brawler Koken. So this is a card that I've been wanting to run for a long time. I just couldn't find any around here. I had to go out and order these things. I was like, no, I'm not going to order them. I'm going to find them. Well, rip me. So, Spirit Brawler Koken's effect is Vanguard or Rearguard. When he attacks the Vanguard and your opponent has an empty front row, he becomes 12. So, it's a very good card in this deck because your Vanguards will wipe away your opponent's front row, so you'll be able to meet the conditions for this guy. Or you can have a Rearguard attack, a Rearguard, and then your opponent's front row is empty, and then you swing on this guy. He's pretty solid. I'd actually consider running him in Vanquisher if it could clear the front row easier. And then I'm running 6 cards that kill, 3 Death Scythe, and 3 Voltage Horn. Because the grade 2 game is no longer as prominent as it used to be, you can cut down on the number of Death Scythes that you run in the deck. but I'm still running them as being able to snipe anything is a very powerful ability, even if it is for Counterblast 2. And Voltage Horn Dragon, the theory behind this is that since your Vanguard is going to be killing the front row, this guy will always hit back row units, and he binds, which is important because I am running the G Guardian in here. Honestly, this guy could be dropped for a number of other things, which I feel like the extra retiring power is useful to have, but you can honestly cut these things for playset of these guys or something else in the slot. I don't know what else I can like. There's also Demonic Dragon Berserker Garuda. That's an old option as well. Dusty Plasma Dragon is, I guess, okay, but I don't like the fact that if you aren't on Vermilion, Dusty Plasma Dragon is only a 9k attacker, and if you're on Crimson and not Legioning, that does come up. So, as it is, I like this ratio. Then for the grade 1s, I'm running your obligatory 4 PGs, 4 Stride Assists, 4 of your archetypal grade 1, so Crown Holder Dragon. And then the last slot, I'm running 2 copies of River Strike Pokemon. I just want to have some nice big beat sticks, and he's in there for that. Rising Phoenix is an option I will probably address again in the future, but I don't know. It just feels like I don't see enough things to attack unboosted with, so I like this guy for that, as he can be a booster or he could be in a pinch an 11k attacker. Then for the triggers, I'm just running 7 crits, 5 draw. Spoiler alert, these are the same triggers from my Brawler deck. So, yeah, and 4 heal. Just get these guys out of the way. Whoa, cards are slipping. And then get on to the G zone. So, for the strides, 4 copies of Dragonic Kaiser Warning. In my last profile, I ran only 2 of these things because I felt he wasn't really a win con, but more or less a useful weapon to have when you couldn't conquest effectively. But now that you have the extra slots, you can get away with running 4 of these and 4 conquests. Hey, everyone wins, except your opponent. So, because of G Guardians, it's actually possible to stride in this guy first turn and then make use of his ability, and just being able to use it multiple times throughout the course of the game is pretty helpful. And then you have Conquest for when your opponent has only 1 unit in the front row. And he also is still good to run because of Dark Element Dismal, as Dismal is actually a very strong counterplay against Warning. If your opponent does not want you to get maximum value for Warning, they can just Dismal, protect one of their rear guards in the front row, and then just guard the front, their Vanguard with like another 10k shield, and chances are you're probably not going to be breaking through that. At least I've never broken through their 2-to-passes. So, Dismal in the format does make Warning a bit weaker, but most decks only run 1 Dismal, so if you can bait that thing out early, then you can kill them with an actual legit Warning push. But just some notes to take about that. And then just running it out. 2 copies of Finish Below Dragon for the crit pressure. 1 Zoras if I'm forced to stride it first, because Narukami outside of Brawlers doesn't have a good first stride. And then my obligatory 5G Guardians. Like, this is basically the Brawler G deck, except I swapped out my 4 turbos for my 4 warnings. And I would like to run a similar lineup in Vanquisher. It's just that well, I could probably cut the Finish Blow Dragon for another G Guardian, but this is fine. So basically, I'm running 5G Guardians, which is pretty much the accepted norm for most lists, as sometimes you don't want to use any of these guys early. Sometimes you just want to G-Guard for 15k or 20k with these guys. In addition to that, you're able to multiple G-Guard at the same time. If I'm reading this correctly, yeah. Like, if you happen to have 2 face-up G-Guardians, and you G-Guard one more time, then that's it. You can't G-Guard anymore. But if your opponent's coming at you with a really big attack, you can G-Guardian, and with your 2 heals in hand, and you can still do this because you only have 2 face-up G-Guardians in your G-Zone. So that's why I at least run the 5. Plus, if I've already used up my 3 G-Guardians for the duel, I can always just flip them up for the effective Finish Blow Dragon. It's not like I can run anything else in here. This deck doesn't bind enough to make Voltec Zapper Dragon worthwhile, and I don't run Nobles, so I can't make use of Vishnu. But yeah, that is the deck itself. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And what would you like to see Narukami get in the future? Because looking at the numbers, they're still a very popular clan of the game. I mean, they have the 4th most amount of cards in their pool. Someone did a tally, actually. It's like, Royal Paladin has about 275 cards, Kagura has 265, Gold Paladin has about 250, and then Narukami has 230-ish? So, this is like the 4th most popular clan of the game, or at least as far as numbers go. Obviously, as far as players go, it's not nearly as high up, but Narukami will always be getting a decent amount of support in future sets, so I expect them to get their 3rd block in set 9 or set 10. They will not be getting a technical booster. I don't think Bushiroad thinks that lowly of them. And in that, all I can really say in the video? Yeah, that's all I can really do, so... this definitely went on a lot longer than it did before, but I kind of just wanted to share some theory while I was at it. Side note, you're probably wondering about my lack of Sabreeze in this deck. And the answer for this is, I only really have a couple units in the main deck that are Generation Break. It's not like Vanquisher where like your entire main deck runs off a Gen Break. You run enough non-Gen Break units to not care if they're G-locking you. You can still just use Crimson Soul Blast to gain power. Shatra and Spirit Fisted Brawler Koken can still hit their magic numbers regardless of your opponent being a Gen Break or not. So that's why he's not in here, even though I probably could run it. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Until next time, this is BooStar89, jacking out.